Live from the CBW Radio UK studios in Chelmsford, this is Off the Record with Big C and his trusty companion, Stinky Pete.
Yep, here we are again. It's Off the Record. It's Wednesday. Back to were we Wednesday last week? I can't remember. Or did we did?
We were Wednesday. Oh no,
Thursday last week.
It was Thursday last week. Yeah.
Thursday, yeah. So we're back to an all day, and we're still on at 9, as you obviously know because you're watching us now. Next week we'll be back to our usual time of 10 p.m. UK time, staying the same in the States. So we'll see you at 5 p.m. Thank you very much, Shaggy. Off the record it is, and me, Big C, Stinky Pete is on the screen in front of me. He is, or he are. He are.
I are in it.
In it, blood. And we're just having a good old discussion about the West Wing, because it was just still, it's hands down the greatest TV series ever.
Nothing else is close. Not even on the same hemisphere.
It is very, very good. We mentioned that because I played a few clips on the radio show, and I'll probably be playing more if I get more. Right, okay, so enough about the West Wing. We're talking music. How's your week been anyway? How's your week been before we get onto the topic of...
Well, given that it started off relatively catastrophically, it's improved dramatically. So, yeah, it's all right. It's been good.
Excellent. Haven't been travelling around anywhere then?
No, I'm having 2 weeks at home, getting everything ready to go to Oman in a couple of weeks.
In a couple of weeks, yeah. So you're here next week, but
here next week, then
the following week not, and then the week after we'll be.
Well, the following week, I've now looked at my flights, and I actually land at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I should be okay on the Wednesday night. But I won't have done any prep, so might have to be.
We'll sort something out. We'll do a chart or something. Yeah, we'll go old school and do a chart.
I like old school. Old school's fun.
I don't suppose you've watched England play, have you, over the weekend?
I have. I watched both games. Yes. And they were better than they were under Gareth Southgate, but they really do have to learn to play against the low block. But that you could say that for most of the Premier League teams. I was watching I was watching that match and thinking, especially the one against, was it Latvia, and thinking it's just like watching Spurs playing Tamworth. You know, if you put 11 men behind the ball, which they did. And I mean, they'd never got out of their half for 90% of the game. And you watch that and you go, well, it's no wonder they're not scoring. However, what I did do on Sunday was go to the Spurs Legends against AC Milan.
Yeah, we didn't go to that one.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was an absolutely super afternoon out. Loved every minute of it. It was fantastic.
You probably ran around a little bit more than Berbatov did when he was
Berbatov was superb.
But did he move much? He doesn't need to, does he?
He doesn't need to. But I mean, he did move quite a lot. But Berbatov, Lennon, Defoe, and Michael Dawson walk into our first team now, especially Lennon.
Oh, I did see. I watched the game live and on the Spurs app or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Lennon looked class.
He was brilliant.
I don't know how old he is, but he looked good. And Defoe.
Late 30s, but I mean, he was, and the thing was, he's what you need in a winger because he doesn't cut inside. He goes round his man to put the cross in, and 3 of the 4 first goals were as a result of him doing that. But the blinder was Pirlo's free kick. And it was really funny because Matt's brother Pete was sitting in front of me because it was like 7 of us went, and Jeff and I were sitting together, and then Matt's brother Pete was in front, and when the penalty, when the free kick came, he said, what he'll do is he'll shove that in the top corner.
Yeah.
Or, so no, he said, I'd love to see him shove that in the top corner. Literally 30 seconds later, he shoves it in the top corner, and he just goes, "Oh, we're sitting in the presence of a wizard." You know? Yes. But I mean, he did exactly what he said he'd do. It was brilliant.
Are you the wizard, or was Pirlo?
No, Pete. The other Pete. Other Pete was the wizard. He's a shorter wizard.
It was a great goal, I must admit. You don't, as Andy Gray would say, you don't save those.
No. Well, I mean, what I liked was the fact that after he picked the ball out the net, Michel Vorm was actually clapping him, you know, because that was no goalkeeper on earth would have saved that. It was brilliant. Anyway, it was so lovely to go to the match and have a couple of beers afterwards with mates and not be depressed about the shitey football. So, yeah, it was good fun.
I know what you mean. Yeah. I mean, it was quite relaxed. But I'm talking about England. We haven't been to an England game for a while. We used to go to a few. Sam likes to go to them at Wembley, and they're quite a relaxed atmosphere. The trouble is, you get the Mexican wave all the time. You just
Don't
don't
start.
get that in the Premier League.
No,
You get the Mexican wave because they're
should
more
have been
passionate
banned
about
after
football.
1968 in Mexico.
Yeah. Yeah, and you get the paper planes going down from the upper tier.
I was 68, was it 70? Yeah, 1970.
Yeah, 70 was that.
Yeah.
I didn't like to correct you on the Mexico
No,
one.
no. Well, Mexico was it was the Olympics in '68, wasn't it?
Did they have? They didn't have the Mexican wave in 70, did they? Or was that a more recent
I
invention?
thought it was 1970. Who knows? Anyway,
Who knows?
It should be banned. People should be taken out and shot for doing
The
it.
best World Cup ever as well. That I remember. First World Cup I remember.
Best World Cup final.
Indeed. Brazil against Italy.
Arguably the best football match in history.
Yes, 4-1, wasn't it? I remember it. Right, okay, let's get on before we run out of time, because we might well do with this one.
Okay.
We are doing our alphabetical series of albums. So the title of albums beginning with the letter H. And as I posted earlier on in the promo, heaven help us, because
Indeed.
there are just so many. Humongous amount.
Humongous.
Yes. Who is humongous anyway?
A big chap.
A big chap. Maybe he knows Hugh Janus as well. There was an airline called Janus Airways. Actually.
There was. I remember it.
Based in Kent, and we used to have to ring up the airlines when I was there. Can I speak to Hugh, please? Right. H albums, a load of them. I know, a load of them. You've got. We're going to try and go for 10 each, but you've got.
No, there's no chance. I can't. There's no way I can go for 10 because I've chosen 17. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of them are going to be the same as yours, or not all of them.
Some of them, yeah. All right. Well, do we have a summary for them, or anything to say beforehand, or should we just get cracking?
If 1971 was the greatest year in music, then I think you can argue a strong case to say that H is one of the greatest letters.
It's an overlooked letter, isn't it?
It's an overlooked letter. Yeah, we need more H's.
Yes.
No, it's,
there were 7 before it, though. Really, to be honest, so it's really got to grips. Got to know what it was doing in the alphabet with the letter H, or as some morons might say,
H.
Oh.
Or H hotel. I once again have followed the age-old tradition while we've been doing this that I've only chosen albums that I own.
I know you have. And I have. I suppose. Well, generally, actually, I probably own a lot of these. Actually, to be fair, but from my perspective, I sort of open it up a little bit to involve other albums that I've got to know. I haven't necessarily gone out and bought the album, or because you don't have to these days, do you? You can just download.
Yes, you do if you want to get them to sound decent.
Well, okay. I'm not going to criticise your ability to get the best possible sound, the bestest sound possible. But yeah, so there's a bit of everything, a little bit of different styles, I suppose.
Oh, I've got a whole range of styles in mind.
I bet I have. Oh, I wrote down the ones I thought you might choose. I might have to read them out at the end and see whether I got them right. Do you want to start then, or shall I start? It's up to you. Go on, you start.
Well, okay. I'm just going to go through. So the first lot are the ones I've got on vinyl, and then later I'll come to the CD ones. So number 1 is 1972, Neil Young, Harvest.
Okay. So I had that one down for you. I didn't choose it because it's one of those. I think you're going to choose it. Yeah. Good album though.
It is a good album. I love Neil Young, as you know, and I've said that on many occasions. It's not my favourite Neil Young album, but it's certainly in the top 2 or 3. What I like about it is the range of songs on it. So you've got, Harvest, Your Old Man, which is this beautiful song. I've talked to Wyatt about that. He loves that as well. With James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt singing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got The Needle and the Damage Done, which is one of the things I learned to play on the guitar.
It's live, that one, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's live. I think that one, isn't it? Is it a live recording?
Yes, that's live in the States. I think it's at UCLA. but then and then that's obviously just an acoustic number. Then you've got Alabama, which is quite raspy and hard. It's much more of a, it's kind of it's not such an easy listen as some of the other stuff. And I don't know whether it was that or Southern Man or both of them, which sparked off Skinner doing Sweet Home Alabama.
Yes.
But then what I think is really interesting about the album is it's also got the 2 orchestral tracks on it. So There's a World and A Man Needs a Maid. A Man Needs a Maid has always been one of my favourite Neil Young songs. I love the lyrics. My life is changing in so many ways. I don't know who to trust anymore. There's a shadow running through my days. No, there's something running through my days, like a shadow running from door to door. I think it's really poetic. I think maybe I'll get a maid, find some place for her to stay. It's kind of like wanting female company, but not in a kind of unpleasant way. I just think it's kind of quite poignant. And then There's a World, which is really a huge production and the absolute antithesis of The Needle and the Damage Done. But the interesting thing, and I'm sure you know this, is that those 2 tracks, so There's a World and The Man Needs a Maid, are recorded with the London Symphony Orchestra recorded at Barking Town Hall.
In Essex. Is that
in Essex?
It is in Essex.
Barking Town Hall in Essex.
Town Hall.
That absolute epicenter of orchestral music. When you think London Symphony Orchestra, your brain automatically goes Barking Town Hall.
Barking Town Hall.
Barking Town.
Orchestral manoeuvres in the barking.
In the barking, yeah. So what in the name of all that's holy Neil Young was playing at Barking Town Hall in 1972, I have no idea. And
bumping into the London Symphony Orchestra.
Yes, they just happened to be walking, and he said, "Come on, guys, come and play at my gig." But anyway, so I just think what I like about Harvest is the variety on it. Not much else to say, really. Nice cover.
I was going to say, you say there's a bit of variety on it, but the way I remember it, and the last time I was listening to it, it's quite a soft album. It's quite an acoustic-y album, really, isn't it?
Well,
on the whole, or not?
No, not really.
Heavy ones on there.
Well, you've got. Well, I mean, Alabama is not acoustic-y, and then you've got 2 which have got a whacking great orchestra. So,
but it's not like a real massively rocking album.
It's not like Rocking the Free World. It's not like like a Hurricane or Cortez the Killer. But he didn't really do songs like that until later. Even up to through Tonight's the Night and On the Beach, they were all still sounded more acoustic-y, quote unquote, than once he got to Zuma and onwards. But anyway, we're talking 8 albums. Harvest had to be
number 1, both sides of the Atlantic as well. That was.
Yeah, well,
I think because Jeff gave me some 8 albums to mention, and I'm pretty certain that was one of his.
I would be surprised.
It was indeed Harvest Neil Young. There you have it. He's got another one after that, I noticed, which you're definitely going to have. Right, I'll just throw one in now. This isn't one I owned at the time. Didn't get it on. Well, I was very young anyway when it came out. I know, even I was young at one point.
Frankly, the listeners find this difficult to believe, but people.
Yeah, but I'll always be younger than you, though. To be fair.
Well, that's true. So will everybody who's younger than me.
This came out in August '65.
Right.
It was a gentleman's 6th album. It was a top 5 American and UK hit, 4 in the UK, 3 in the States. What can I say to give you a clue? The title is a major American highway.
Route 66.
No, connecting his birthplace of Duluth in Minnesota.
Oh, this is Highway. What's its name revisited with by
correct Highway. I've got my Highway 61 revisited. Yeah. I mean, it's not my favourite Dylan album, but it is a very, very good album.
It's an H album.
It's an H album, and I think it's very good. And it like the previous one. I think the previous one was the same. Bring It All Back Home. They had like rock musicians as his backing band. This one certainly did. It was preceded by Like a Rolling Stone, which was a number 2 hit in the States, number 4 hit in the UK. And he's kind of, I should have confirmed the writing on my bit of papers before I started the show this week, actually. It looks like I've written combing here. I think I've written combining. So it's like a driving blues-based music with his subtlety of poetry, and he's created songs that captured the climate, political and cultural, in contemporary US. Author Michael Gray argued, apparently, in an important sense, the 1960s started with this album. It's a bold statement.
That is an extremely bold statement.
It could be nonsense. It was number 4, and the last I looked, it was number 4 in Rolling Stone's list of 500 greatest albums of all time, which we know we don't take any notice of. But also 3 of the tracks on the album, Like a Rolling Stone included, were in the Rolling Stone 500 greatest songs of all time. Like a
Well, I
Rolling
guess
Stone.
that stands to reason, really. Which were the other 2?
Well, Like a Rolling Stone, as you know, was 4. Highway 61 Revisited itself was at I don't know, I was reading 33 or 373 there. And Desolation Row, which was 187. It's probably 37 or 33 then the other one. But it's not only Like a Rolling Stone. There was another single on it which flopped, which was from a Buick 6. But things like Tombstone Blues, which reportedly maybe, or did it not, I don't know, reference to Vietnam War and the US President Lyndon B. With his lyric, "The King of the Philistines," which I believe is meant to be Lyndon B. Johnson, his soldiers to save, put jawbones on their tombstones and flatters their graves, puts the Pied Piper in prison and fattens the slaves, then sends them out to the jungle. That's Tombstone Blues. I thought you got a lyric in, I'll throw a lyric in as well.
Chuck it in. Go for it.
Actually, one of my favourite songs, one I might play tomorrow, actually, because Like a Rolling Stone is longer, and I need to fit them all in, is It Takes a Lot to Laugh, It Takes a Train to Cry, which is like almost acoustic-y, but also electric, bluesy song. It sort of chugs along a bit like a train, really, I guess.
You do love a song that chugs along, don't you?
I do love a chugger. Yeah,
you do love a chugger. Yeah.
Yes. You've got to be a chug. It's nothing like a chug, I always think.
It's not.
But yeah, what else have we got? Ballad of a Thin Man is on there. Al Cooper, who plays on the album, guitarist, said musically the song was more sophisticated than anything else on the LP. It's about a raucous, sneering dressing down of a hapless bourgeois intruder into the hipster world of freaks and weirdos which Bob Dylan inhabited. Now, all of those are on side 1, and there's still side 2 to go, which we won't go into in detail, otherwise we'll run out of time. But Queen Jane, approximately, is quite a gentler song. Highway 61 Revisited itself. It's another bit of a shuffle, driving blues shuffle like that. Just like Tom Thumb's Blues, which is no chorus and has 6 verses. And the last one, which, believe it or not, is 11.5 minutes long. You must love it.
Sounds like my kind of song.
Yeah, is really the only fully acoustic song on the album, I would say. No one knows where Desolation Row is, although Al Cooper, again, I'm quoting him a lot here, said it could be located in a stretch of 8th Avenue, Manhattan, which is, and I quote, an area infested with whorehouses, sleazy bars, and porno supermarkets, totally beyond renovation or redemption.
Sounds fun. We'll have a off the record day out there then, shall we?
Yeah, have a party there. Right, so that's mine. Highway 61 Revisited, Bob Dylan.
Okay. Right. Well, because some of these I've done more research on, and some I'm just putting them in because I own them. I'm going to do a twofer now.
Yeah, no problem.
So I'm going to shove 2 in together. So the first one, 1980, arguably one. Well, this artist, this will be included in his run of great albums, but it's the worst of them. And there was one which was pretty shocking in between it and the previous great album. So it's Stevie Wonder, Hotter Than July.
Oh, okay.
So I own it. I went out and bought it when it came out because I was kind of in that run of, the great Stevie Wonder albums. It's a good album, and it has on it I Ain't Gonna Stand for It, which, I think that was a single, wasn't it?
It was indeed.
It was, I thought it was, yeah. Master Blaster, Jamming, which, is kind of a bit of fun. Lately, which is a really nice,
a great song. I was going to say Lately's on that, isn't it?
Yeah, Lately's a really nice ballad. And then, of course, it's got Happy Birthday on it. And I guess that I'm kind of choosing it because there is a very strong memory from, my first child was born in 1982. So really, through all of my kids growing up, every birthday, the assembled Willis clan used to sing horrifyingly, vaguely out of tune, deliberately, happy birthday to everyone, rather than singing, happy birthday to you. We used to sing the Stevie Wonder happy birthday. So it's kind of got a bit of a family, memory there.
Memory for it, yeah.
Which is why I chose it. I mean, it isn't as good as Songs in the Key of Life. It's better than Secret Life of Plants, which I thought he lost his way in that. And it's certainly not as good as Innovisions or Talking Book or Full of Filling This First Finale. But anyway, so I chose that. And then the other one I've got, and this is what I said about my list goes from the sublime to the ridiculous. So you've got Stevie Wonder, and then I'll raise you Heaven and Hell by John and Vangelis from 1975.
Okay.
So this is Vangelis, is it Papandreou, the Greek keyboard wizard, who he did a lot of stuff with John Anderson from Yes. He was also in Aphrodite's Child with Demis Roussos, or Demi Roussos, back in the day. There's only 3 tracks on the album. The whole of side 1, most of side 1 is Heaven and Hell Part 1. Then the end of it, which is just like a 5-minute song, which I think was a single, is So Long Ago, So Clear, which is a beautiful, beautiful piece of music, and I will probably choose either tomorrow or Friday. And then side 2 is Heaven and Hell Part 2. And what I like about it is that it's got a really interesting cover. So and it's kind of flipped. So the front cover is Hell, and the back cover is Heaven, whereas the album title is Heaven and Hell. So you'd think it'd be the other way around. And it's got just a keyboard, and the Hell bit is all flames, and the Heaven bit is all blue skies and fluffy whiteness. And then there's these glass hands with angel wings hovering over the keyboards.
And I just think I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Right. So it's a really stark, I think, really cleverly produced album cover, and I think it's a gatefold sleeve as well. I can't remember. But it's if you like that kind of music, and a lot of people won't, it is. Is it prog? No, it isn't. It's referred to in, when you look at these albums and it says what genre they are, the genre it's under is New Age. Now, I didn't even know that was a genre, but
I never know what these genres are.
Well, I mean, people make them up as they go along, don't they?
Yes.
But I think that actually, if you think about, what is the New Age movement? It's this kind of very vaguely hippie, greeny, whatever it is. And John Anderson was always a bit hippie type. So I think actually it fits. It's a very, very good piece of music. Vangelis is a brilliant keyboard player. But So Long Ago, So Clear is a beautiful, beautiful little song. So I shall choose it.
Well, what I will say to you on that score is you have 2 out of 3 with Jeff, because he also has shown Heaven and Hell by Vangelis.
Well, there we go.
And he has requested that song, that very song. So you don't need to request it, because you're going to hear
good.
it anyway.
I can choose something else then.
You can choose something else, preferably not the 20-minute side two of the album.
No. The rest of it is not radio friendly.
Okay, all right.
So clear it is. So
I had to listen to that because that's what made me think. Because I was trying to find it, but it was on a John Anderson greatest hits, I think it was.
Yes. Well, there's the John Evangelis greatest hits album.
Maybe that's what it's on. So I thought,
which has got. You've played stuff off that before because we had this big debate about Mr. Cairo because I think I was doing Capital Cities, but it was too long to play, and we played something else instead. Anyway.
Right. Okay, I'm with you. All right. Well, there you have it. So you've got Hotter Than July and Heaven and Hell.
Yep.
And okay. So I'm going to go for one. Well, I'm sure I'm going to get this one out of the way now because I'm sure you'd have it on your list. Hotel California. I'm just going to say it.
Right.
Now,
I've got that on my.
I've got it on your reserves.
I've got it on my CD list, but I haven't written anything about it because I knew you were going to choose
it. I was going to choose it. But I must admit, I was thinking that you were a big fan also of Hell Freezes Over.
Which I have got on my list.
Oh, right. Okay. So you might as well do that one next then.
No,
we could follow them on. It's up to you which order you do, actually. But Hotel California, for me, is still, I think, one of the greatest albums ever. I mean, if I had a top 10 of albums, it would be in didn't make number one here, funnily enough. It was a number 2, but it was a number 1 in the States. Their 5th album, first one with Joe Walsh. I'm telling you this, but you know all of this, I'm sure. And last one with Randy Meisner, the bass player. Joe Walsh, of course, replaced Bernie Leadon. Singles from it, 3 big hit singles, certainly in the States. The title track and New Kid in Town. I think that was a number 1 over there. Yeah. And Life in the Fast Lane, which wasn't a hit over here, I don't think. But it did win a silver disc. Yeah. So obviously maybe a slow burner. But it didn't actually get a chart position. New Kid in Town I love because I'm always a Glenn Fry fan with the Eagles. Yeah. Almost rather than Don Henley. Having said that, New Kid in Town is the only song on Hotel California that Glenn Fry sings. All of the songs were written by Henley and Fry, co-written or written by, because Hotel California had Don Felder as a co-composer because all the guitar stuff that he did for it. 26 times platinum, which isn't a bad effort, is it?
No, it's pretty good.
One of the best-selling albums of all time, over 32 million units worldwide. We're talking the Rolling Stone 500 greatest albums ever. It was in 2003 it was number 37, but in 2020 it's down to 118. I can't imagine there are 80 better albums than that have appeared between 2003 and 2018. I don't get that one.
I doubt it was 8. Never mind 80.
No, I know it's a very odd one. Kind of a concept album, but not in a cowboy sense. More an urban kind of thing.
Yeah, well, it's basically about urban. It's about the power of money and the way it depresses society and destroys for materialism, isn't it?
It is. It is. And I mean, Wasted Time is such a beautiful song at the end of side 1. I'm a side 1 man, I must admit. Side 1 is utterly brilliant. Side 2 is just great for me, apart from the final track, which is superb.
The Last Resort is...
The Last Resort, which I might put in tomorrow anyway, so it's another one you might not get.
Well, it's the greatest thing the Eagles ever did.
The Last Resort closed the album.
Perfect.
Absolutely perfect, as you say. I got 3 ticks by that one, so that obviously is very good. But side 2 did have some other a bit of a reprise of Wasted Time, the orchestral reprise, and that goes straight into the guitar riff of Victim of Love. Joe Walsh song, Pretty Maids All in a Row, which fades in. It takes an age to actually come in, that song, doesn't it? And then Randy Meisner's song, Try and Love Again. Hotel California, there's not a lot more else we can say about that because it's just a great album.
It is.
Not a duff track, as they say.
No, not a duff track. Even the worst track is better than most other people's good tracks. So
yes,
certainly the genre.
That's a good sign, isn't it, for an album?
All right. Well, if you've done that, then I might as well throw in. I was going to do vinyls and then CDs, but I might as well throw in Hell Freezes Over. I love Hotel California. I love One of These Nights. They're my two favourite Eagles albums. But then I bought Hell Freezes Over on cassette in the music souk in Sharjah in the United Arab Emirates because I had nothing better to do. Nothing better to do with my time. And I kind of brought it home and played it. And I thought, well, I don't know anything about this album, but I already love it. And eventually, when I got to the point where I didn't have a cassette player that played, I went out and bought it on CD. Why do I love it? Well, I love it because I like how relaxed it sounds. I like them, joking about, we never went away. We just took a 13-year vacation, kind of, ha ha. I love at the end where they play Desperado as the final song and they say, here's where it all started. In other words, this is where our success started. But in between, the opener, Get Over It, I think is a real rocker. I think Learn to Be Still is a beautiful song. They do a really nice version of Tequila Sunrise. What I particularly love is the reason I love live albums is because I love the audience reactions to the stuff. And I think that their version of Hotel California on Hell Freezes Over, you get exactly the same reaction as we talked about last week when people realise that Clapton is playing Layla, but he's doing a different version.
Different version of it.
And on Hell Freezes Over, Hotel California, it starts in with this really kind of laid back, kind of syncopated type of rhythm, and you think, well, what is this and where's it going? And then suddenly they break into do 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 do, and you go, oh, it's Hotel California. And of course, all the audience goes, yeah, like this because they realise what it is too. I just think that's really good. I love the version of I Can't Tell You Why. Obviously, The Last Resort, which again they do a beautiful version of that. In the City, again, was one of my particular favourites in there. But the song, other than the new version of Hotel California, and obviously The Last Resort, my favourite song on there is New York Minute. Now, I didn't know that song at all, but it's just the words are fantastic. It's one of those I love story songs. It's a story song, and it's this whole. I'm assuming it's kind of about somebody who works in financial services kind of getting overwhelmed and doing himself in. I may have completely misunderstood that, but that's what I've always read into it. But I think that it's a beautiful, beautiful song. And yeah, it's one I play regularly, and that's what I'm going to choose over the next couple of days.
Okay.
So yeah, Hell Freezes Over.
Are you keen on Henley's solo stuff as well? I mean, that was on.
New York Minute was on his one of his solo
End of the Innocence, I think it was when he was on.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have any of their solo stuff. I've got Joe Walsh pre Eagles, but so James Gang and some of that stuff, but I haven't got anyone else. So.
Righty ho then.
Obviously, Boys of Summer is a classic. So
we saw the Eagles live for the Hell Freezes Over tour, I think. Didn't see them in their pomp.
Well, I was just lucky. I saw them at Hotel California, so that's kind of like getting the golden ticket from Willy Wonka, isn't it? So,
good old Willy. Good old
Willy.
Right,
Willy wouldn't go home.
No, I'm going to stick to the same year, actually, 76, but a different style of music. I did actually own this album as well. So that's 2 out of 3 I actually owned as an album on vinyl. And it was the debut internationally released album by this particular band.
Okay.
It was probably their 3rd album overall. In fact, this album was probably a collection, if you like, of the better songs from their first 2 albums. All songs, apart from one, which is probably one of my favourites on the album, was written by Bon Scott, Angus and Malcolm Young.
Okay, so this will be
High
AC/DC.
Voltage.
High Voltage.
It's AC/DC, yeah. I mean, there were 2. I mean, Highway to Hell's there as well, but I got memories of High Voltage when it came out with the different sleeve. It was redone with a different sleeve. This is like a drawing of some kind, I think, on very pink. I seem to remember it. Neil would be able to describe it better, I'm sure. But yeah, it came out. I got it in the midst of the sort of buying all the Dr. Feelgoods and the Graham Parkers and the Eddie and the Hot Rods and the start of the punk era. And I know it wasn't punk and it wasn't status quo, but it was sort of, I don't know, a similar sounding song most of the time, very similar. Most of them sexual innuendos, which quos weren't at least, but the same sort of repetitiveness in a good way, and I love that. The song that they did write it, but with only Angus Young and Malcolm Young wrote. Can I Sit Next to You, Girl, which I think is a great song. It's a Long Way to the Top with the Bagpipes. Was a single in Australia, and it was a hit here, but in 1980, I think a lot of their hits were singles were reissued after the success of
Highway to Hell.
Highway to Hell, yeah, I would have thought. But they're not the only songs on there. Rock and Roll Singer, The Jack, which is a slower song.
The Jack gets played a lot. The Jack gets played a lot on Planet Rock. I kind of knew that through.
There's nothing like a song about venereal disease, I was thinking.
No, exactly.
Live Wire, TNT, which I think was
one that gets played a lot.
One of their albums, their first two albums in Australia was called TNT, I think. I mentioned Can I Sit Next to You, Girl, which was their debut single in Australia in 1974. She's Got Balls, that might be another one they play on Planet Rock.
Yeah, that gets played a lot.
And the final track, which is the one I think my second favourite, if not my favourite, is the title track. Finishes the album when their elder brother, George Young, of Easy Beats fame, played bass guitar on it for that particular track. And that was a single in Australia and was a hit here live in 1980. So High Voltage I'm going for.
Good choice.
Probably my favourite AC/DC album, actually, overall. So it had to be in there.
Having seen them live with you, I only actually have one AC/DC album, and that's the Live at River Plate, because I figured that covered pretty well all of the songs I liked. So,
yeah, well, you
the Jack, of course, is not about venereal disease. It's about someone playing cards. I can't believe.
Of course, yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay.
Let's stick with 1976.
Go on then.
Okay.
From that year?
I'm going
Just
with.
I had another one from that year, but yeah, go on.
I'll be amazed if you haven't, because I've got two.
I've got one from 76. Yeah, I wonder whether we've got the same one, but go on.
I think we probably have. We'll come there in a minute. So I'm going with everybody's favourite pin-up on the wall of your bedroom as a teenage boy who wasn't Raquel Welch.
I missed this out from my list. I presume you mean Hasten Down the Wind?
I do mean Hasten Down the Wind.
Okay. Good old Linda.
I got a real bargain. I went to the Oxfam shop in Lancaster to the books and music part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Two separate shops. And it was just before the charity shops cottoned on to the fact that vinyl was collectible and that actually they could charge a lot of money for stuff that was rare. Because I went to the same shop about 18 months later, and up high, so you couldn't nick it, was a copy of Octopus by Gentle Giant, and that was £100 in a charity shop.
Blimey.
But I managed to get 3 Linda Ronstadts for $2.99 a shot. So I got 3.
That's Linda Ronstadt albums, not 3 actual Linda Ronstadt.
I'd never have survived if I'd had 3 Linda Ronstadts. I wouldn't have survived one. I certainly wouldn't have
sure you
3.
would have done. Man of your prowess.
Although it would have been fun dying trying. But anyway, so yeah, Hasten Down the Wind, Linda Ronstadt. What I like about this album, it's my favourite one of the ones of hers I own. I don't own the one with the big hit single on, which I always forget the name of. But it's Lose Again, which is Carla Bonhoff. The Tatler, which is a Ry Cooder song. Then her version of That Will Be the Day, obviously Buddy Holly.
Superb stuff, yeah.
Hasten Down the Wind itself, which is a Warren Zevon song, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
And then Try Me Again, which is her and Andrew Gold. And Crazy, which is Willie Nelson. So there's a real mixture of songs on there. But I mean, I could listen to her voice all day. I mean, she's one of those singers like Karen Carpenter, like Eva Cassidy, who just have got a voice,
to die for.
Yeah, well, I love my female singers, but not there's some of them you can't listen. I love Floor Jansen, but I couldn't listen to her all day because it's too overpowering. But these girls, they've just got beautiful voices, and I just love Linda Ronstadt. So yes, when I realised that Hasten Down the Wind began with an H, I thought I shall choose Linda.
Definitely have Linda. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any of her solo albums. Sadly, the one I had was the greatest hits, the sort of maroony coloured.
Yeah, I know exactly the one you mean.
Gatefold, I think.
Yeah.
And all the big ones are on there. I mean, That'll Be the Day, and When Will I Be Loved, and You're No Good. I mean, maybe that was.
Well, You're No Good is. I haven't got the album that's got You're No Good on it. I'll have to get it because that's obviously my favourite song of hers. But
yeah. And there was a very early one on there that was, I think, recorded by the Stone Ponies with her as well before she went solo, a different drum, which was Mike Nesmith's song. I think that was a Mike Nesmith song.
Good old Mike.
Good old Mike, yeah, Crazy. Yeah, I see that's on there. Rivers of Babylon, is that the Rivers of Babylon? I assume
it is, but I decided I would move swiftly on rather than mention that because I can't.
Good plan.
I can't. When you say Rivers of Babylon, I cannot get Boney M out of my head, and that is a bad place to be.
No, you want Linda R.
I would much rather have Linda R. than
I'm sure there's a joke there about Boney, but I'm not going to go there.
No, and also rhyming. Anyway, yes. Moving on. Yes. Right. So that's me.
Down a wind.
I've done Linda Ronstadt. What next?
You've done Linda Ronstadt. 3 Linda Ronstadts, in fact.
3 Linda Ronstadt.
Right. Well, this is I'm gonna stick with 76 since we're on 76. I won't find the thing because I think you might have this one, unless we split it because he had 2 albums out in 76. Have you got anybody? You got a solo artist that had solo maybe?
Well, he was not really a solo artist, was he? He was a solo artist who happened to have a backing band. Yes.
Yes, and we are talking Graham Parker and the Rumour.
And the Rumour, yes.
And I had both of these out. In fact, I didn't own subsequent albums on vinyl or CD or anything, but these 2 I had. Loved them both. And umming and ahhing because they both start with H. The debut album was called Howling Wind. The second album was called Heat Treatment. Now, Howling Wind, you added one of your debut albums, didn't you, the other day?
Last week.
On the radio show. I played half a dozen tracks or whatever from it for you. I've gone for Heat Treatment. Have you?
I've also gone for Heat Treatment.
Yeah, I think it's just generally a better album.
I agree.
But Howling Wind is great. Heat Treatment is just that little bit better. And it's very closely released after Howling Wind, as I remember it. And
this was why I was confused because if you remember when we had the discussion about Graham Parker a few months back, I got all the tracks mixed up. I thought they were all the same, and I've realised the reason was they were both released in 76.
Yeah, but within about 6 months.
I saw him live twice in 76. So he played at Hull at uni. And I think he must have played at Hull City Hall, or he must have maybe played at Sheffield or one of the other places I used to go. But I definitely saw him twice, and he played at the University Refectory. And at our uni refectory, it was either bands that were on the way up or on the way down.
Yeah.
And so they were. This was, he just released, I assume, both Howling Wind and Heat Treatment. It must have been after Heat Treatment, because I remember him playing Heat Treatment. I remember him playing Hotel Chambermaid, which are my 2 favorite tracks on the album. So, but he was brilliant live, absolutely brilliant. And the Rumour were fantastic. They were really tight. They were a really, really good band. Really liked them.
Very, very talented band, weren't they? The Rumour.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my favourite. You said yours is Hotel Chambermaid. That is a great song. I love
Heat Treatment and Hotel Chambermaid are my 2 favourites. But I've noted down the other ones I like. Backdoor Love.
Yeah, great song. Nick Lowe produced that one.
Yeah, Help Me Shake It.
Yeah, love that one as well. A bit more of a rocking number, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold closes the album. Superb song, Fool's Gold.
Oh, and then also, hang on. Oh, Black Honey as well.
Black Honey, yeah, as I read somewhere, the Dark Downcast sequel to White Honey, which was the opening track, I think, on Howling Wind, his debut album.
That's right. Yeah.
So much like, oh, Black Honey, yeah, very deep, dark song, wasn't it? But yeah, another song I love on it, actually, one of my favourites, one of the ones you haven't mentioned, which is Turned Up Too Late.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. It doesn't stick, so.
Okay. Well, I'm going to be playing that one anyway. You might have two from it if you pick one from that as well.
Well, yeah. Anyway. I mean, if I pick, but I'm gonna split mine over tomorrow and Friday. So
okay,
saves me having to think about a debut album.
That's fair enough. All right, so Heat Treatment, Graham Parker and the Rumour from '76. We've both gone for that one.
Yeah.
So, well, shall I do another one since you've sneaked in 5 and I've got 4 in so far? All right, I'll do this one because I sort of hinted at this one.
I've got 6, mate.
You've got 6.
I've done 6 so far because I did Hell Freezes Over as well, didn't I? I did a 2 for. I did Hotter Than July and Heaven and Hell both together.
Yeah, and Harvest and Hell Freezes Over and Hasten Down the Wind. I reckon that's 5. And I've only done 4.
Harvest, Hotter Than July, Heaven and Hell.
Yes.
Hasten Down the Wind.
Yes.
Heat Treatment.
Oh, Heat Treatment. Sorry, I haven't written that one down.
And Hell Freezes Over.
Yeah. Okay, Heat Treatment. I'll definitely do one now then. I mentioned this. I apologise. Your maths is better than mine. I just hadn't written down Heat Treatment because I've written that down for me here.
That's not a phrase that anybody that knows me would ever expect to hear.
Certainly not from my lips.
Your maths is better than mine. No. Nobody would ever say that.
Well, okay. Well, mine isn't great, to be fair. Right, I did hint at this one because I played a track for someone yesterday or today from, in fact, I'm sure it was today, Keane. Jumping into the 21st Century, their debut album in 2004. Not a duff track on their debut album, Hopes and Fears.
Right.
Brit Award winner in 2005, Best Album. 2.7 million copies sold in the UK, 5.8 million worldwide. I don't know whether this is a major achievement. In 2019, it was the 36th best-selling album ever in the United Kingdom. There were 5 singles from it, 4 top 20 hits. Everybody's Changing, This Is the Last Time, Somewhere Only We Know, one you might recognise, and Bed Shaped. Also Bend and Break, which is a song I played on the radio, actually. That was released in Germany.
Was that the one you played? What was it you played today?
I think that was Bend and Break I played this morning.
I didn't. I quite liked that.
There's no guitars on it. Well, there's a bass guitar, I suppose, on it, but it's really only keyboard. That was a unique thing about it. But the album, to be fair, they haven't done another good album like that at all since 2004. As good as Tom Chaplin's voice is, the songs aren't as great. Now, this album is an archetypal debut album that they already had all the songs for, kind of thing, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Most of the songs are already composed by the album's conception date, if you like. So, that's maybe why it becomes harder. But there are other album tracks that, I mean, all of those are great singles. We Might As Well Be Strangers, Your Eyes Open, She Has No Time, different sort of tempo songs as well, Can't Stop Now, Sunshine, On a Day Like Today, and the last song's called Untitled. As I said, there's not a duff track on it, really. And if you haven't heard it, you should, really.
Okay.
You don't have to listen to any other Keane stuff, but
what's it called?
Hopes and Fears.
Okay. I shall.
Begins with H, you see.
Well, yes, but I didn't know what the H was. So
Hopes and Fears. Did I not say? I thought I said Hopes and Fears.
You did, yes, but I couldn't remember because my when you say Keane, is that EANE or E?
As in Robbie, as in the hat trick hero from the Legends game on Sunday.
Did you see him trying to do his
trying to do his celebration?
It was hilarious. He basically fell flat on his face, and he then laughed, and everybody in the stadium cheered. It was brilliant.
He did like a little somersault, doesn't he? Then do a
I know, but he did the little somersault, but then basically fell on his ass. It was
right. Okay. Anyway, Hopes and Fears, Keane. That's for me.
Okay, right. So, ploughing on through my vinyl collections.
Yes.
I'm going to go with one which I don't think you'll have guessed. This is by one of the bands that you are not a major fan of. To be honest, neither am I. I've got 3 of their albums and their greatest hits, and I like some of their stuff, but I would not say I was a fan. This is Hurt for Hemispheres by Rush from
No, I haven't got that one there.
1978. There's this big argument, and Wyatt and I agree on this, that Rush are referred to as being prog. They aren't. They are a rock band that sometimes plays long songs. And if any of their albums could be accused of being prog, this one is it.
Hence you like it most.
No, well, no, I don't actually. Do I? No, I like the Greatest Hits album because it's got all of their best stuff on it. And
but that's cheating.
So I've bought these 3 because I think if you're building an album collection, you need to have these 3 albums as part of it. So, and Hemispheres is one of them.
So are the other 2 Moving Pictures?
No, 2112 and
2112, yeah.
Maybe it is Moving Pictures.
It was a real big commercial hit, wasn't it?
No, it was something Kings. I can't remember the remember the title. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No.
So side 1 is the proggiest thing they ever did. The title track, Hemispheres. It's got 6 elements to it. It's 18 minutes. And the tracks are called Prelude, Apollo, Dionysus, Armageddon, Cygnus, the Sphere. So you can tell that that's pretty pretentious, and indeed it is. It's okay. It's interesting to get into it as a piece of music. You know how much I like these. 18 minutes. It takes you on a journey. It's okay. I'm not wild about it. Side 2 is only 3 tracks. Circumstances, which is 3.5 minutes. La Villa Strangiato, which is 9 minutes and is just plain not my thing.
And appropriately bracketed in there, an exercise in self-indulgence.
Right. Is that what it? Well, I'm not surprised because it really is.
Yeah, that's what it's got in brackets.
But the standout track on the album is The Trees. And The Trees is a beautiful song. It's one of my favourite Rush songs. It's basically the story, and I wonder whether this is kind of the Canadians because they're Canadian, taking the mick out of the Americans or having a poke at America, because basically it's the maples want more light, and the oak trees are blocking out all the light and making and the maples are getting upset about it. And I wonder whether that's just basically Canadian maples saying get out of our hair, Americans. It could be nothing to do with it.
You mean the 51st state?
You don't never say that to a Canadian because you will be stabbed in the eyeballs. But no, The Trees is a beautiful song, and that's definitely what I'll choose tomorrow. It's lovely. Well, interestingly, I mean, and again, I guess that this is kind of like the prog thing, prog being very English, mostly, but very European, but mostly English. It's recorded at Rockfield in Wales.
Wales, yeah.
Advision, and then it's mixed at Trident. So entirely, recorded and produced and mixed in the UK. Now, whether that is an indicator that maybe it does fall into the prog sphere, I don't know. But anyway, Hemispheres by Rush.
Hemispheres by Rush. No, I made a list of guesses for yours. That wasn't one of them. It wasn't even on my radar, to be honest. But if I'd have really thought about it, I'd have thought, oh yeah, Rush, you might have that in there. Now I'm going to go to, this was another extremely successful album, actually, in 1987.
Okay.
Their 4th album. Maybe, I don't know whether some people have called it a bit of a sellout. Very Americanized. Having said that, their album before was along a similar vein, I thought. This had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hit singles in the States. Well, and 6 of them were hits here too. And all bar 1 were in the top 10. Every single track from side 1 of the album was a single.
Sorry, what year is this?
87. It was a number 1, both UK and the US. From Sheffield.
Ah, Left Deppard.
Left Deppard, yeah, as they're well known. And I've just gone for Hysteria.
Yeah, well, that's their defining moment, isn't it?
I thought it was. There's so many great tracks on it. Um, the singles being the main ones, of course. Animal, Pour Some Sugar on Me, which is the only one that didn't make the top 10 in the States, strangely.
Well, that's weird because Pour Some Sugar on Me is the song that was their big breakthrough because it was used by the strippers in the table dancing bars on Sunset Strip or in Los Angeles. And it became the theme song. And that's when everyone started saying, well, what's this? What's this? Oh, it's this band from Sheffield. And then Hysteria went stratospheric. But it was Pour Some Sugar on Me that was their break.
It was a breakthrough, yeah. But they had a couple of top 10 hits before that, but maybe they become really famous with that. That was their third hit. And then Hysteria, Armageddon It, Love Bites, and Rocket were all hits. And I mean, there's about 4 or 5 other songs. Just one single on side 2, which is the title track. It didn't sell well at first when it came out, but it soon became obviously their best-selling albums. Their best-selling album, and to date, it has sold more than 20 million copies worldwide, 12 million in the US alone.
Well, I mean,
the album title, funnily enough, was credited or created by the drummer Rick Allen, who, after his car accident and subsequent arm amputation, he was describing the worldwide hysterical media coverage surrounding it all, basically, and that's where they got the name Hysteria, because of course
only just Rick Allen kind of invented a new way of drumming as a result of his disability, didn't he? Because he's still just as powerful a drummer now, but he does it with 2 feet, one arm.
Yeah. Okay, that's me, Hysteria.
Definitely. Okay, well, I've got 3 now, which 3 on the run, which you probably will get all. Sorry, 2 of them I would think you definitely will have on the list, and I'm fairly sure one of them Jeff will for me. So let's go. First one, another album from 1973. For me, legendary for the gatefold sleeve as much as it is for the music on it.
Are they Dutch?
No, I'll come to them later because that was 1974.
Oh, right. Okay, I was close.
1973. Houses of the Holy.
Oh, my word. That one just passed me by. I don't know.
Zed Leppelin. Houses of the Holy.
Good grief.
I absolutely love the gatefold sleeve. I think it's one of the great pieces of album artwork of all time. It's that because you've got again, you wouldn't get away with it now because you've got the kind of naked child on it. But
was it one of their kids or something?
I don't know. It may well be, but it's shot at Giant's Causeway in Ireland. It's and that's on the front cover, and on the inside you've got the castle on the kind of the cliff, and you've got the man holding the I think it's one of the children up, and it's all in that kind of washed out bluey kind of color, with the people as opposed to the really vivid colors in the background. So it's a really, really, really vivid and memorable sleeve. And then as far as the album is concerned, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's the album between Untitled and Physical Graffiti, which I think most people would say were their 2 greatest albums. And then you go, so it's kind of the throwaway. But then you look at it and you look at the track listing and you go, it so isn't. Because, Song Remains the Same, which then became the title of the live album that they brought out. Rain's Song, Over the Hills and Far Away, Dancing Days, which I think is a great track. Obviously Jamaica, which is kind of their kind of reggae thing, which I'm not a fan of personally. I think that's the weakest track on the album.
It's my favourite. I think, on the album.
But I think it's memorable just because it's different. And then the other one I love is No Quarter, and of course No Quarter is a John Paul Jones song, And that then became the title of the Page and Plant unleaded
album, yeah.
Which John Paul Jones got a bit snotty about because it was his song and they called the album No Quarter, but they had nothing to do with it, and he wasn't invited to do the unleaded thing. So it was kind of a bit of angst apparently in the background on that. Not much else to say really. I can't. If there's an opportunity to choose Led Zeppelin, I'm going to choose it. And I think it stands alone as a really good album. Is it as good as Four? Is it as good as One, Four, and Physical Graffiti? No. Is it the one that kind of follows on from that? Yeah, I think it probably is. For me, I'd choose it over Led Zepp 2 and Led Zepp 3. So.
Yeah, I really love the track Houses of the Holy, but it's not on the album, of course.
No, that's on
Physical Graffiti. Is it Physical Graffiti, was it? It came out on, was it? Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Love that.
Yes,
but as I say, the sleeve is a little bit dodgy. I got a ban from Facebook for posting that album sleeve once.
Did you?
For about, I think a ban. I got restricted for about.
I'm not surprised. It would never have got done today in exactly the same way that the Blind Faith album cover would never have been done today.
Yeah, I can't wait for that as well. Just posted that, but on Twitter it was fine. It's just on Facebook.
Well, on Twitter, there's anything goes, isn't it?
Or nowadays, but in the earlier days, in the good old days, before Elon, it wasn't so bad, was it? I didn't think, but yeah. So Houses of the Holy, yeah, I didn't even write that down as a reserve. I don't know why, and I should have had it down for you too. What a failure! What a failure. Okay, so I've got. Okay, I'll just do this one. This was from 72. And not one at the time I owned. I got the next album that he brought out, which would have been his 6th album. But this one was released in May 72, and named after the castle, shall we say, in English, where they recorded it at the Chateau de Rouville.
Okay.
Where the next album was also recorded, and I think we agree was his best album, a double album, the next one.
Okay.
This is a number 2 album in the UK, number 1, his first in the US.
Now, weirdly, I didn't put this down on my list in the same way that you didn't put Houses of the Holy.
Honky Chateau.
Honky Chateau, yeah.
And a couple of singles, a couple of decent singles on it, of course, Rocket Man, which is his first, a big hit in the UK. I mean, Your Song was a top 10 hit, but this one was a number 2 hit, and it was also a number 6 in the States. And Honky Cat, which was quite a funky track, wasn't it? Like a New Orleans funky sort of sound to it, a la Dr. John, with a load of horns and stuff on it. That was a bigger hit in the States as it was here than it was here. Top 10, only 31 here in the UK. And one of the greatest Elton John songs is on there too. I think I played this yesterday as well on the radio. So whether I'll play it again tomorrow is dubious. More Mona Lisa's and Mad Hatters. I love that song.
Yeah.
Which is covering Bernie Taupin's take on New York City after hearing a gun go off near his hotel window during his first visit. Lyrics inspired partly by Benny E. King's Spanish Harlem. But other tracks on the album, Mellow, I Think I'm Gonna Kill Myself, which is sort of a tongue-in-cheek parody of a moody teenager's thoughts about suicide. But of course, he himself, Elton John, apparently, again, reportedly, was considering suicide in the late 60s. And
it was a difficult time. It was a difficult time to be gay.
Maybe so, yeah, that's true. And
that
was what the song "Someone Saved My Life Tonight" by Bernie Taupin put the lyrics to that in a few years later. I think it was Lon John Baldry that told him to ditch this girl that he was going out with and be himself. And what else is there? Again, there's sort of a New Orleans atmosphere I've written down here of Honky Cat. There's even tap dancing on one of these tracks. So there's a load of stuff on there. Susie, Salvation, Slave, and Amy, also some good tracks on that. He had a lot of good albums and 70s. Shame he didn't keep going until the 80s, really. I know he's still going now. Have you seen that advert for his latest album ever on YouTube or something?
No, I was listening to something about this. Maybe it was being advertised.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. With
he's playing at the Palladium on Saturday.
oh, is he?
Yeah, he's playing the Palladium on Saturday.
Brandy Carlisle,
with Randy Carlisle.
He's doing an album with Brandy Carlisle, but he's sort of in tears on this trailer, isn't he? And saying, "I've never done this before." I don't know.
I haven't seen the trailer. I just heard them talking about it on the radio. It must have been on the news, I think. Anyway,
Honky Shadow for me, Elton John.
Not my kind of thing. Right. So I've got one still on my vinyl list, which I've got 4 on my vinyl list, but I've got one I've got 2 which I'll be stunned if you don't choose. So I'm going to park those, and if you say them, I'll say, yeah, I've got them too. And if you don't, I'll throw them in at the end. So I'm going with the one you mentioned earlier, 1974.
Hamburger Concerto.
For Hamburger Concerto by Focus. Apropos of the discussion about Rush earlier, this was recorded at Olympic Studios in Barnes, which again, I think is this whole thing about prog and England. It's my favourite Focus album by some significant margin. Why is it? Well, mostly because of the second side, which I'll come to in a minute. The first side is 4 tracks, a little gentle intro starter called Deletae Musicae, obviously Latin, but that's based on a couple of Dutch I can't remember the word. It's kind of like a Baroque kind of Dutch composer whose name escapes me, but that's what that was based on. Harum Scarum, which is the track which is on most of the Focus compilation albums off this album. When I went to see them live with other Neil in Harpenden a few months ago, they played La Cathédrale de Strasbourg, which is a really beautiful piece, very very grand, but not in an overproduced kind of way. Just da 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 da, and then he does. Thijs van Leer sings, but he basically just sings La Cathédrale de Strasbourg. It's based on a classical piece. And then the rocker, which is I think what I'm going to choose tomorrow, which is Birth, which is the finisher off side 1. Side 2 is the Hamburger Concerto. So it is 6 pieces, which are called cleverly starter, rare, medium 1, medium 2, well done, and 1 for the road. Now, it's
no dessert. No dessert.
No. Well, you don't. Do you have a dessert hamburger?
No, maybe not. Well, some would.
I mean, it's true. When I was in Brazil, I was staying in a hotel in São José dos Campos, which is where Embraer Jet is based, on the outskirts of Sao Paulo. There's a point to this story. I went out for dinner on the second night or third night we were there, and we went to this beautiful bar. Just picture a Brazilian bar, beer, just very Brazilian, all yellows and blues. And we had pizza. And then they brought out the dessert menu, and it was all dessert pizza.
There you have it.
So I had chocolate, vanilla ice cream, and strawberry pizza, which sounds utterly shockingly awful.
It does.
But it was fantastic. It was absolutely magnificent.
I'm not a pizza fan, actually, but I'm
not. I mean, I eat it, but
I wouldn't mind the ice cream and the and whatever else there was.
Scrape it all off. Anyway, chocolate. That's got nothing. Yeah. That's got nothing to do with Hamburger Concerto.
No.
What's interesting about the piece, the very first time I heard it, I thought, I know this music, and that what they're really clever at is constructing the rock around the classical motif underneath, and it's actually based on variations on a theme of Haydn, which which were then adapted by Brahms. So it's basically Brahms adapting Haydn, adapted by Focus. But then in the middle of it, around about 15 minutes in, there's also 2 verses of a Dutch Christmas carol called O Kerstnacht schöner denn der Dagen.
Easy for you to say.
It was a lot easier to say than it would have been if it had been another language. Because basically Dutch is just spitting, isn't it? You just anyway. So my Dutch friends, you get offended when I say that. Yeah. But it ticked all the boxes. You know, I mean, Jeff will say, my dad was a massive classical music fan and a massive jazz fan. When he first heard this, well, he liked Focus. He liked Moving Waves. But when he first heard this, he said, I can see that this is a properly constructed piece of music. And I said, well, you mean classical? And he went, well, yes, but it's got, it makes sense as a piece of music. And I love it. And I think when you did my 60 at 60, Hamburg Concerto was one of the ones on there. It was one of my Desert Island tracks. So, I love it. And it's one of the, when I first got my new turntable, and I started playing all my old vinyl again that I hadn't played for 10 or 11 years, Hamburg Concerto was one of the 5 albums that just kept on coming back time and time again. Absolutely love it.
Well, yeah, I did you, as a matter of fact, talk about Brahms then? Did you actually, in this Brazilian bar that you attended, did you get Brahms and Liszt?
Now, strangely, I did have a religious experience.
You did?
No, this was really funny. I got a pair of flip-flops on. We'd walked from our hotel into the centre of São José dos Campos. It's late in the afternoon. I'm just about to cross the road, and I swear this happened. And I was with my mate Ricardo. I'm just about to cross the road, and I said to him, "It'd be a right bummer if these sandals break, because I'm going to have to walk home in bare feet." And I swear, as I got halfway across the road, one of the 2 came to pieces.
Oh dear.
And he looked at me and went, about telling the devil too much of your mind. Yeah. And I said, if there is a flip-flop shop somewhere over there, then that is proof that there's God. So we crossed onto the pavement, and literally to the left, there's a flip-flop shop. So we go into the flip-flop shop, buy a pair of flip-flops, bin the pair I've been wearing, put the new ones on, paid about the equivalent of £1.50, walk home, do the restaurant, do the rest of the day. When I get back to the UK, I was unpacking, and one of my kids, I don't know if it was Elizabeth or Daniel or whatever, said, "Dad, you've got Havianas." I said, "What?" I said, "Your flip-flops are Havianas." I said, "What are Havianas?" They said, "They are the flip-flops that everybody has." I said, "What do you mean they're trendy?" He said, "Yeah, and they're really expensive." I said, "They're not. They were £1.50. And then they were rioting because everybody wanted Havianas, and over here they're about 30 quid. So I got an absolute bargain. There we go. It's my Brazil story.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yeah, okay. I just want to hear you say flip-flop shop again.
Flip-flop shop.
Like that. It's good. Flip-flop shop. Yeah,
red lorry, yellow lorry.
They came in the 60s, didn't they, the flip-flops, I thought, generally? Because when we were on holiday in Italy, my mum, bless her cotton socks, she never used to call them flip-flops. She used to call them flip-flaps, which doesn't rhyme with shop, which obviously is not a good idea. But I thought flip-flaps probably means something else these days. I don't really know, but I don't want to think about it.
No, you definitely do not.
I like Hamburger Concerto anyway. Oh, actually, no, I like hamburger. That's
yes, I knew
hamburger. No, have you requested something from Hamburger Concerto before? On the radio show?
On one occasion. I think I might have chosen the
no doubt there'll be one tomorrow morning. All right.
Anyway,
right. Okay, I'm going to do 2 obvious ones now. 2 obvious ones for me. I'll leave that one till last. But this one, I've talked about it at length, I'm sure, in the past. But it was in 1973. Their I don't know what number. 6th album it was. Yeah, it was the 6th album came out. First number 1 album.
Not on my list.
Oh, really? Okay. The first number 1 of 4 number 1s that they had. In fact, they had pretty much one, two. No, they would have had 4 consecutive number ones, but the next album only got to number 2, I think. Yes, the first album that I ever really bought, first rock album that I bought. So it's definitely got memories for me,
Right.
and it is South London's finest, and it is
Hello.
Hello. I'm waving hello with an exclamation mark or exclamation point, as if you're listening in the States.
In the States.
Why isn't it question point then? In that case,
Don't go there. Don't start me on a
question mark.
I shall rant.
Yes, all right. Well, Caroline, the single came out before it, which we did love, me and my brother. Their first top five hit it was, which was written in '71 originally, I think, and it was like in a hotel in Cornwall, apparently, like a slow blues song, almost countrified, but then they speeded it up. It was the first time the now familiar status quo font was used on an album sleeve. I just love it's an iconic album sleeve.
It is totally iconic.
It's just a shadow of them, a silhouette of the 4 of them, just standing with their guitar and their hands up in the air and drumsticks for John Coughlin. I just loved it. It was all music criticised it at the time over the simplicity of some songs and overindulgence of others. So they can't really win, basically, whilst praising the energy. They said it was effective and enjoyable in spite of its flaws. I mean, that's a sort of backhanded compliment, I guess, isn't it?
That is a very backhanded compliment.
Clearly the product of a band at their commercial and creative peak. Hello wears its strengths and weaknesses well. Not particularly flashy or intelligent, but without exception confident, comfortable and fun. Just talking about me there, I think, all of that.
No, I was just about to say this is a description of my friend Colin.
Me. You see why I love it? It's just simple stuff. Nothing too complicated. Only 8 tracks.
It's a great album. It is
a great album. It's a catchy album. Roll Over Lay Down was on there. Caroline's on there. Another live favourite was 4,500 Times, which went on for about 8 minutes on the album, but it extended to about 15 on the live set and the live album actually in '77. Yeah. Blue Eyed Lady, such a superb song. Reason for Living, Softer Ride, and It's Better Now. That's all of the 8 tracks on it, and everyone's a gem as far as I'm concerned. It's the first album, I think, that Andy Bown, it's the first the keyboardist, Andy Bown, he was in The Herd.
Yeah, he was.
First appearance on a Quo record on Blue Eyed Lady. He became an official member in '81. But Hello, as we all know, as we've joked many a time, first album we bought at True & Osborne in Epping. And it was filed under progressive rock.
Yeah, which it clearly isn't.
It's clearly
what it isn't is progressive, because there's only one time signature, and we know what it is. Okay, so do you want to
do it well? They do it well.
Do you want to do your other crashing the obvious one? Because if you haven't chosen it, I've got it, but I can't believe you haven't.
Right. Well, as you know, I would have chosen it, and I'm sure it's the Fab Four.
Right. So are we?
Right. There were 2 albums beginning with H, of course.
I could only find one, so that's the one.
Help. Have you gone Help?
Help. Yeah.
You've got that album, haven't you?
Yes. I've got most of their albums now.
Oh, okay. So maybe you would say this is a bit of a cheat, but we didn't have it in as an A. It's A Hard Day's Night.
Oh, no, I would have that as a... Well, okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think you've got to include it. I think it's an H. I
wouldn't. I would say that's A. I would have had that as an A.
Well, it's in it, so tough.
It's fine. It's your podcast. You can do what you like. You're the boss.
Yes, that's right. Hard Day's Night. And still, to this day, maybe because it was the first album I remember having, it was bought for me in '64, it just brings back memories. And it's probably one of the, if not my favourite album of all time by anybody, is A Hard Day's Night. And up there as my favourite Beatles. Obviously, it would be if it's my favourite album of all time. It was their 3rd album, the only album they recorded in their career that was purely Lennon-McCartney songs. Most of them were Lennon. McCartney was off with Jane Asher doing whatever he does with Jane Asher. So he only had 3 songs. One of them was an old one, Can't Buy Me Love, which was pre-released as a single anyway. And the other was the B-side of A Hard Day's Night, which was Things We Said Today. And the other song he did for Jane Asher was And I Love Her. But the rest of them were all John Lennon songs. It's also the first feature film. It was American #1 and a US #1. The track listings differ in that the US version is just like a soundtrack, basically, with everything that was on the album was also in the film. So there were like some orchestral bits, instrumental versions of a few songs with George Martin and his orchestra, like Ringo's theme. I don't know if you've seen the film, but when Ringo's walking, it's this kid by the river. There's a sort of tune, This Boy is actually from I Want to Hold Your Hand single. George Harrison with his Rickenbacker 12-string electric guitar throughout, which influenced a lot of artists, off the Byrds, for example. Any band, actually, emerging folk rock bands and jangle pop genres, I would say. I mean, I can't list all the tracks because they're all brilliant.
Well,
I'll
okay.
play one tomorrow. Not obvious one, though.
Well, I'm going to jump in then because I chose Help, which is the one I thought you'd have because for me, A Hard Day's Night begins with an A. But anyway, so I've chosen Help, 1965, their second feature film. It was the first Beatles album. Sorry, the first Beatles album I got was Hard Day's Night, but that went to Jeff when we divided the record collections up and then got melted on the back shelf of one of his cars, or someone's car. So the first album I bought of the Beatles when I started collecting my albums through our good friend from the UFO Centre of the World was Help. And it's always been one of my favourites. Standout tracks for me, Help, You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Ticket to Ride, which I love their version, but it's the one where I actually prefer the Carpenters version. But I love the original as well.
Can't all be right. Can't all be right.
Tell Me What You See. I've Just Seen a Face, and then Yesterday, which obviously is it still the most covered
song ever by anybody?
Most covered song ever. Yeah. So yeah, not much to say really. We all know. So shall I do another one?
Yeah, go on. I do like Help as well. Obviously, I do like Help. Although ironically, and this doesn't go against what we normally say about each other's tastes, it's probably down there as maybe not the bottom, but it's sort of in the bottom 2. I'd have said 2 or 3 of their albums for me. There were some great songs on there, but I thought there were a few throwaway songs. But as you said before, I think John Lennon's least favourite song is on there. It's called It's Only Love, and McCartney was saying as well. It's like a song he just didn't really. The lyrics were banal, and he just didn't get on with it.
It will be.
But there are some absolute classics on there, must be said. George Harrison got his teeth into a few songs as well. I Need You and You Like Me Too Much. But anyway, Help. That was yours.
Right. So my next one, I'm pretty sure Jeff will have on the list for me.
I'll check.
This is 1978, and it is Heavy Metal Bebop by the Brecker Brothers.
He has indeed got it. Now, this list isn't his choices for you. These are his choices for himself.
Well, Heavy Metal Bebop was an album which, so the story with Heavy Metal Bebop is, so it comes out in 1978. So it's my last year at uni. I'm just about to move back home for 18 months before I then go off and move up to the Wirral and work for Cadbury's and get married. And I'm listening to DLT. Remember the Hairy Cornflake?
Hairy Monster.
Right, the Hairy Cornflake.
Hairy Cornflake.
So I'm listening to Hairy Cornflake, and I remember him saying, okay, this is a new single by the Brecker Brothers. It's called East River. And he played it. And when you hear something for the first time and you go, I absolutely love that. And it was one of those things. And I went round to, it wasn't Chew and Osborne's, it was the one in Loughton, the name of which always escapes me.
Our Price?
Yeah, maybe, whatever.
Could have been.
Anyway. And I went round and bought it, I think, the following weekend. When I got it home, the rest of the album is much more kind of jazz rocky, avant-garde, not in the way that you like Mahavishnu, but it's East River is very much the single. But it's just so East River, Inside Out, great track called Some Skunk Funk. And then on side 2, you've got Sponge, and then Funky Sea, Funky Dew, and Squids. So clearly the second side is all about something to do with water and fish and heaven knows what else.
Yeah.
Maybe all stuff you find in the East River, but frankly, I doubt that because that's probably full of concrete and dead mafia people. But anyway, it's a brilliant album. And obviously the Brecker brothers are fantastic musicians. And it's just a really, really strong lineup with Terry Bozzio and I can't remember the names of the other 2 guys. But it's just one of those. I haven't got anything else by them. I couldn't name anything else by them. I've seen one of the Brecker brothers playing with Paul Simon on the Rhythm of the Saints tour in the backing band, and they're brilliant musicians. But that album is absolutely fantastic, and East River I will definitely choose tomorrow.
Okay. Guess what Jeff's chosen for tomorrow?
Has he chosen East River?
He's chosen East River.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. Well,
I'll tell you at the end. I'll tell you all the ones he's requested.
Well, if he's chosen that, then I won't bother choose. I'll choose something off the other albums. That's fine. Right.
Yeah. All right. I'll confirm it at the end. Off air.
I've got 4 CDs left, and then one other one which I think you'll have.
Right, I'll give you that one maybe now. I don't know. Hunky Dory, I'm going for it.
Yeah, all right, let's tick that off. I've got Hunky Dory on my list.
Right,
too.
David Bowie, Hunky Dory. I think I'd say it's his best album for me. My favourite. We say best. What you mean is, of course, my favourite. It is quite a folksy album-ish. It's mainly piano-based. Did you have Hunky Dory down, or is it just?
Yes. No, Hunky Dory of my 11 vinyl. It was number 11. So yes.
Okay, so it's his 4th album. And it's certainly more melodic than the previous albums, which were really folky. This is where he got the band in, didn't he? Ronson and Woodmansey and the other fella on bass, Trevor Boulder, in The Spiders from Mars, and of course Rick Wakeman, your hero, on piano just before he goes off to Yes.
Yep.
I don't know. What else is there? He sang songs about 3 of his American idols, which would be Lou Reed with Queen Bitch, which is absolutely I love that Queen Bitch.
Well, I've written down 4 tracks off that album, of which Queen Bitch is one. I absolutely love Queen Bitch. It's a great song.
Well, you know, Life on Mars is going to be up there for me.
Yeah, that's your favourite Bowie, isn't it?
Yes, my favourite Bowie, and I think probably my top. It was in my Desert Island songs, I think, Life on Mars.
Yeah, it's a great song.
And Kooks.
Yeah.
What else is there that I think is up there without wasting too much time?
Well, it's got Changes on it, which is...
I've Changes, yes, sorry. That was right at the top of the page, Changes, because it opened the album.
And it's also got one of my other favourite Bowie songs, which is Oh You Pretty Things, which I think is a great
song.
Oh
You Pretty Thing, yeah, which is... He gave to Peter Noon to record, actually.
Yes,
he had a hit record with it. But
Yeah.
Oh You Pretty Things, yeah, it's quite... it's a good track. Second track on the album, I think,
It's
wasn't
funny because I think you've always said this is your favourite, and I've always said that Ziggy Stardust is mine. But I'd have Ziggy and Hunky of that era of Bowie, and then I'd have Station to Station and Low from the second era of Bowie. So they'd be my 4.
See, rather than listen to the latter 2 that you
Oh
mentioned.
yeah, no, I know you would. Yeah,
I'd probably throw in Aladdin Sane as well. But
yeah,
I think these are the better of those 3 albums. These are the 2 of the better 3 of those. Yeah. Song for Bob Dylan I love as well, actually, which is a bit of a parody of Bob Dylan's song on his debut album, Song to Woody.
Yeah.
And Queen Bitch we talked about. So Hunky Dory. Great album. Number 3 here in the UK, but only after Ziggy Stardust. I don't think it really charted before that. US only number 57 hit, Hunky Dory. Shall I give you another one then, before you carry on with your other ones? What else? I don't want to say too much about this one, but again, this is one of the artists in the early 70s that I remember getting on vinyl. I didn't get this one on vinyl, but we did get his next one on vinyl. This one came out, it's his debut in August 71. Singer-songwriter, pianist from Ireland. Not getting there. UK number 5, US number 9. Clever satirical lyrics, wordplay, apparently inspired by Spike Milligan with his lyrics. And Melody Maker. I don't know whether you were a Melody Maker fan, were you? They said
I was a massive Melody Maker fan. I didn't read NME. That was like reading The Sun.
I'm talking Gilbert O'Sullivan anyway. The album, his debut album was Himself, which begins with an H.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, good shout. I'd forgotten.
And Melody Maker said, Gilbert O'Sullivan is totally unlike his stablemates Tom Jones and Engelbert Humperdinck. He's got talent for a start, which reaches beyond their superficialities of glam and glossy presentation.
Okay.
There you have it. He's got a satirical view of life, similar to that of Randy Newman.
Yep.
But in a weird way, it's sort of a total. Even though he's Irish, a total feeling of Englishness about his lyrics, in the same ways that Randy Newman's were like quintessentially American insights, weren't they? But the single, his debut single, such a great song. One of my favourites. Again, I know I keep saying it, but I've got so many favourites. Is Nothing Rhymed. I think what a great song that is.
Yeah, it is a great song.
Top 10 hit in the UK. Permissive Twit. There's another track from the album that's typical of him. And Matrimony, another one of his famous songs, is on there. The second album, Back to Front, which we did own, it's got like an intro and an outro at the beginning of side 1 and the end of side 2, like, thanks for buying my album, that sort of thing. And I've got to go now and stuff like that at the end, which he does rather wonderfully. So himself, Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Okay. I am now delving into my CD collection. We've done Hell Freezes Over. I've got 4 others, which I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to start with one which I got bought as a gift, I think by the kids. It might have been by Rowena. Released in 1995. So on September the 4th, 1995.
I might have got an idea for this one for you.
The best bands and musicians entered studios, the best UK bands and musicians entered studios all over Europe. Their intention was that by the end of the day, each would record a track to raise money or focus attention on kids caught up in the war in the ex-Yugoslavia, the collapsing Yugoslavia.
Mm.
And the album that I have got has that written, and then it says, at the time of printing, these bands have been invited, but we don't know who's going to turn up. So they did all of the sleeve stuff before the recording stuff, and then they shoved it out. So Blur, the Boo Radleys, the Charlatans, Chemical Brothers, Neneh Cherry, Eno, Noel Gallagher, the Levellers, the Manics, Portishead, Radiohead, Suede, Stone Roses, Terrorvision, Paul Weller.
Is this an album with a similar title to one of your other albums?
Help.
Help. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was Help. Yeah, I think I've got that album.
Well, I played it again yesterday, and it's really good. Now, given that list of artists, none of
your favourites.
None of them I would choose.
No.
But it's a really, really, really good album. I mean, the Levellers do Searchlight, which is one of my favourite Levellers tracks. That's off Zeitgeist. And that's, I guess, it would be my favourite track. But because it doesn't have the track listing, you listen to it and you don't make a value judgment. So you go, I like this. Massive Attack ended up being on it as well. They're not on that list that I just gave you. Paul Weller wasn't. But then Oasis were, not just Noel Gallagher. So it's kind of, it was a real mixture of things. And the Massive Attack one is really, really good. And then the cover art is interesting because the cover art on the front was done by one of the members of Stone Roses. The cover art on the back of the inside sleeve was done by one of the people from Massive Attack. So it really was a kind of almost like a Live Aid type band effort. But it's a really, really, really good album, and I like it very much.
I'm just looking at this. Yeah, there was a version of "Come Together" on there, apparently.
Yes, there was a version of "Come Together." Yeah.
The Beatles song, obviously. A new supergroup, the Smoking Mojo Filters, which featured Paul McCartney, Paul Weller, Noel Gallagher, Steve Craddock, Steve White, and Carleen Anderson. I think she was.
So that's why Paul. Right, that's why Paul Weller was mentioned, because he was in the supergroup. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, he was in the supergroup. Yeah, I see. Cover of "Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head."
Yeah.
Manic Street Preachers return to recording.
The Manic Street. That's one of the best tracks on the album.
And Radiohead song "Lucky." Yeah, blimey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really good album.
Shipbuilding. Yeah, all right.
Really good album. Let me throw in one more, and then I'll do the last two at the end. So the other one, Jeff might have chosen this for me. We've talked about it loads of times. There's not much to say. Heavy Weather Report, 1977.
Well, as I said, the list he gave me was for his selections, like he wants, not necessarily yours, so it's not on his list.
Right, okay. So Heavy Weather by Weather Report. This is the album which has Birdland, which is the big single, which you've played a number of times. So Birdland is a Joe Zawinul song. Teen Town, which is a Jaco Pastorius song. Harlequin, which is a Wayne Shorter song, and then A Remark You Made, which is a Zawinul song. So they're my four favourite tracks on the album. So you've got, superstars. They played with Miles Davis, they played with Cannonball Adderley. So Joe Zawinul on keys, Pastorius on bass, Wayne Shorter on sax. Then you've got Alex Acuna on drums and Manuel Obadrina on percussion. If you like that kind of music, and I very much appreciate that a lot of people don't, but it is it's jazz fusion, and so it just takes what Miles Davis did and expands it into an idiom. And what I like about it is, like Mahavishnu, Weather Report were a band that rock fans got, and so you'd got a lot of, in the same way that rock fans got Bob Marley. And so you've got a lot of rockers who like Bob Marley, a lot of rockers like Weather Report. Whereas Return to Forever, who I love, they were too far out. Weather Report walks that line, I think, very, very well. And this is a really, really brilliant album. Teen Town is a rocker. Let's say I'm going to get one of these requested from you tomorrow or Friday.
Well,
you're going to get Birdland, because that's the obvious one, because that's the most radio friendly, isn't it? Anyway, so I've got two more to go. You do your next ones.
Well, I'll do them quickly then. I'll throw these two in. Hunky Dory, I did. I'm going to go for an up-to-date one. If I can find the damn page. Oh, here it is. 2007. Now, this is a Scottish new wave indie rocky band, I would say, and it was their debut album. They were formed in Dundee, came out in January 2007, nominated for a Mercury Prize in 2007. It was a #1 single in the UK. I likened them to the Arctic Monkeys. I don't know whether you're a big fan of the Arctic Monkeys.
Not a big fan, but there's two or three of their songs which I like.
Well, yeah, probably that with me, to be honest. That sort of sound to it. They had a few hits, Wasted Little DJs.
Sorry, who are we talking?
We're talking The View. Okay. Do you know The View? The album is called Hats Off to the Buskers.
Oh, okay.
Hats Off to the Buskers. So Wasted Little DJs, that was, these were all these were top 20 hits. Superstar Tradesman, a real rocky, almost punky type song. Same Jeans, which is probably their biggest hit, got to #3. And they had another couple of hits as well. Face for the Radio. That's my motto.
That's your song.
That's my song, yeah. And it's acoustic sounding song. Love that one. Another couple of ones I put ticks by, I love. I'll play one tomorrow. Don't Tell Me is one. Dance Into the Night, I love that one. Sort of a quicker tempo. almost Stray Cat like actually with the
Yeah.
tempo of that one. And all songs written by the two members, Carl Faulkner and Kieran Webster. And did I say they're from Dundee? Yeah, certified platinum anyway, the album. So it's not that bad. The View, hats off to Buscus.
Okay. So I'll chuck in my last two.
I'll give a couple of shout outs after that. That's it.
And I've got one shout out, which was the other one I should have chosen. So 1996 live album recorded at the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool in February 1996. And the album that I've got, which is a CD, has got the album, and then it's also got a DVD of the live performance with additional tracks on. And it is Headlights, White Lines and Black Tar Rivers by the Levellers. And it is effectively a Levellers greatest hits album done live. Every single track on it, I mean, I love the Levellers. Every single track on it is brilliant. The ones that stand out, Hope Street, 15 Years, Exodus, which is their song about the Exodus Rave Collective, who were based locally near us in just outside Dunstable. Carry Me, The Boatman, which is one of their big songs. Men and Toll, which is my favourite, and that's the one I'm going to choose tomorrow. That's my favourite off the live album. One Way, England My Home, The Battle of the Beanfield, and The River Flow, which is the one that everybody knows, the dance along Levellers song. It's you know me and live albums. It's an absolutely brilliant live album, and the DVD is fantastic. I watched it the other week, and just thought, right, I have never watched it. I'm going to watch it and just kind of soak up the atmosphere. And the Levellers fans are all absolute nuts. I mean, a real army of Levellers fans, and it was just brilliant. They're so good live and just great musicians.
Folk rock, I'd call them. Would you? Folk rock,
Gaelic, punk. I mean, they're
almost like punky pokes.
But they come from Brighton, so they're not really
Irish.
They're not really that Irish or that Gaelic, but because they do that folky thing, you've got a violin, you've got at one point a double bass, so bagpipes on a didgeridoo. When they play all these different instruments,
get bracketed in, yeah.
But basically, it's acoustic guitars mic'd up and a lead guitarist. But they're just a great band live. I've seen them live a couple of times, and that album is a really good representation.
Okay,
and then, of course, I couldn't. No, listen, I couldn't do an H thing without choosing my favourite modern band, also modern.
This I do have.
Yeah, so this is 2020. It is Cure for Human Nature.
Human to Nature.
It's not two. It's just that's the way they do it. It's Human Nature is the album.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's Human Nature by Nightwish.
Nightwish.
Again, it's my favourite album of theirs, and a lot of Nightwish fans are going, "Oh no, they were much better earlier." No, you're wrong. This is an absolutely brilliant album. Very big hit single off it, Noise, which is basically about how our life has been taken over by mobile phones and by tech, and we don't talk to each other anymore. We spend our lives glued to our phones, and the video has got a picture of someone looking at a picture of looking at the Mona Lisa through the phone, and just kind of saying why do we do this? The first side, music, Noise, Shoemaker, Harvest, which you've played a lot on the show, Pan, How's the Heart? Come back to that in a minute. Procession, Tribal, which will not surprise you to know features a lot of drums, and then Endlessness. And then the second side it's called All the Works of Nature Which Adorn the World. It's basically an 8-part instrumental, but with spoken word by Floor. And it's the album. The album came out just before COVID, or just during COVID, so they couldn't tour it. So they toured it much later. That's when I saw them on. It was 2022. I saw them at the Wembley Arena, and they played pretty well the whole album. They didn't play the long piece, but it's the second part of their. I don't want to use the term creation trilogy, but it's their kind of foundations of the world thing. So Endless Forms, Most Beautiful, Human Nature, and then the latest one, Yesterwind, which I haven't bought yet. But if you like that kind of music, and again, I thoroughly understand that a lot of people don't, but they are such excellent musicians. All of them are excellent musicians. And what I like about this one is it is a real mixture. So, that second album is basically a classical piece, but plus played with, rock instruments as well as the orchestra that they always use. Noise is a real up-tempo rocker, but Harvest is a beautiful, gentle song. So's House the Heart. I just think it's a really nice, it's well constructed, and obviously Floor Jansen's got one of the great voices of the ages. So that is and I play this album to death. So that had to be in there.
It had to be there. All right.
And I'll throw in just at the end one I forgot, which was Hedgera, Joni Mitchell.
Okay.
Which is my favourite Joni Mitchell album, but because I've only got it on tape, I forgot it.
Didn't include it. Yeah. All right, then there's a load more I could mention, but I'll just give a little bit more of a shout out to a Neil Diamond album that came out actually in 2008, his 27th album, and his first #1 album. And It was #1 on both sides of the pond. It was Home Before Dark. He had one out called 12 Songs before that, which I've got the CD around here somewhere. And then Home Before Dark, which is also here somewhere. And it was produced by Rick Rubin, who did a lot of work with Aerosmith and turned their career around. I think Aerosmith and Johnny Cash with his American recordings and stuff. It's sort of country rock-ish, but he's just such a great songwriter.
He is
one of my favourite songs. He's a great singer and a great songwriter. It's so sad he can't perform anymore. Mike Campbell's on guitar from the Heartbreakers. Pretty Amazing Grace is just a wonderful song, and I've got No Words as the other favourite one on there, a bit rockier, but still kind of country, and the title track as well. So that's Home Before Dark, Neil Diamond. And I've got a load. There's so many we could mention, but we'd be on there all night otherwise. I'll just say quickly run through Jeff's that I haven't mentioned already. Heaven and Hell, Vangelis, you had that one, didn't you?
Yeah.
Headhunters, Herbie Hancock.
Yeah, could have had that.
Heavy Metal Bebop, Record Brothers, which you gave us. Harvest, Neil Young. Hamburger Concerto, Focus. Brackets, Pete will definitely have this one. And of course, Hotel California, which no doubt you'll both choose. But you didn't actually. You had Hell Freezes Over. Probably you would have had Hotel California as well, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And Hearts and Bones, Paul Simon.
Oh,
he loves that album.
Yeah,
he does love that album. And and one final thing, I just run through the list I had for you, predictions. I can't believe I missed Houses of the Holy. I've got some of them. I had down Hamburger Concerto, Harvest, Human Nature, Hejira. You just sneaked in at the end there.
Yeah.
Hell Freezes Over. I put a question mark because I thought you might have that rather than Hotel California. Heat Treatment. I put a tick by as well. Help. And Hotter Than July. So I had quite a few of them.
Yeah, you did well.
A couple of others. Hotel California. You should have heard. I was thinking maybe Happy Trails, Quicksilver Messenger Service. You might have included, or the Blue Nile Hats.
No.
Thought that would be your bag from the 90s. But anyway, yeah, enough. We've gone on for too long.
No,
it's been entertaining. And there's so many H albums. And you'll hear some of them tomorrow on the radio, on CBW Radio.
And on Friday.
And Friday, yeah. And I'll be on both. At 8 a.m. on the UK time. That is 4 a.m. Eastern time for the next couple of days at least. And then we're back to normal times next week. So it should be good fun. Get tuning in. The more the merrier, tuning in and listening in will be great. And you can request songs, as Stinky Pete's going to do, from his long list of 8 albums, no doubt. And I've got some and I'll tell you Jeff's ones when we finish. Right, that is it. Thank you very much, Stinks, as always. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure, as always.
Thank you very much, Shaggy, again, for doing, twiddling your knobs or whatever you do over there.
Cheers, Shaggy.
And this podcast will be posted once Shaggy's had time to sort it all out to the usual places, Spotify being the main one, before the weekend or over the weekend. And apart from that, we will, of course, one day be on
the BBC.
BBC. We'll definitely be on the BBC one day. And all I've got left to say is see you next week. And